Hey, what's up guys? This is Guy here with KBTrainings. I'm back with another video on the FortiGate. Here I have the FortiGate ADD. This has been my main FortiGate for 2 years now, and if you remember, I've made 2 videos about this. The first one was in 2019 when I bought the device on eBay. I made a video in my apartment and I showed you how I changed my apartment's router to the FortiGate, and I showed you all the configurations and everything in detail. It was a long video, over 30 minutes I think. The link is in the description. And then when I moved into this new house, I also made a video showing you how I was configuring the FortiGate for my home network. And talking about my home network, this is the design that I've been sharing with you, showing you all the different equipment that I'm using and the connections that I have. So just a quick rundown. I have 2 WAN connection. I have the first one coming from CenturyLink with fiber with 1 gigabit per second. I have the second one coming with cable from Comcast on this side with 20 megabit per second. This one is just for backup. So if the first one fails, I have a second one coming in, and I made a video about SD-WAN configuration on these 2 links so that I will always use the best connection, and if I ever lose the connectivity with fiber, I'm going to switch to cable automatically. So that video is on the channel. I also have different networks internally and I differentiate them by VLAN tags. So I have the tag 15 for IoT1, for example, 20 for IoT2, and so on. I'm going to install my new FortiGate. So I'm going from the ADD to the 60E that I bought back in May. If you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen that post where I showed you the box that came with this device, and I promised you to install the device. I know it's been 6 months. I've been just very busy, but now I'm back with the video. So if you like what I'm doing, don't forget to like the video. It's very simple, it's free, and it helps me a lot. Please like the video and also share it with your community. And if you like what I do, if you like the kind of project that I do with you here, what I'm learning and everything, please subscribe to the channel to get all the notification and watch my videos. All right, so I'm going to install this one here. This is the 60E, and the issue with the ADD is that it's getting old, and FortiGate basically announced that they're going to stop the support of the ADD. Actually, they will not push new updates to the ADD, and we have an example with a new firmware. I was trying to install the FortiOS 7.0, the new one that came out. I couldn't install it on the FortiGate, and I'm like, no, I can't leave that way. I need to have the new version because I have some cool features that I want to try out from that OS version. So this one is old. I'm going to get rid of it, and I have way more ports now. With the FortiGate ADD, I had only 4 ports, but with the 60E, I have 10 ports in the back, WAN2, WAN1, DMZ, and some LAN ports over here. I'm going to show you how I do the configurations on these different ports. And actually, this is what we're going to do today. So we're going to have console access to this device, and I'm going to show you how to have access to the GUI as well using the web browser. And we're going to configure WAN1, which is my primary connection, my primary fiber connection. I have the cable for it right here with me. We are also going to configure the LAN ports, and I'm going to use LACP, which will allow me to aggregate some of the ports for some of my big VLANs, so I won't have any issue. And if you know about LACP, aggregating 3 ports, for example, doesn't make it a 3 gig connection. It's still a 1 gig, but you have 3 ports or 3 links available at the same time for that same VLAN, which is a good thing. I'm going to make another video on LACP on the FortiGate later on. So after configuring the LAN and VLANs and everything, we're going to configure WAN2, which is my secondary connection. And I'll finish by configuring SD-WAN to allow me to use these 2 connections. I'm still going to keep my old ADD because I will use it for some more videos. I'm going to do, we'll have some fun here. I'm going to create like some site-to-site VPN and all kind of things with the 2 FortiGates that I have here. And this one will primarily be on my home network, so I won't be touching it as much. I'll be playing with this more, maybe. I'm assuming that your device is reset and you have access to it. By default, you know that when a device is new and reset, you don't need the password. You just put admin without password. We're gonna do it. So if you have some configurations and you can have access to the device, that's fine. You can just keep moving. You can reset it if you want to restart everything from scratch. But if you don't have access to it, you can do some password recovery process or some reset process. The 60E has a reset button over here that you can click to reset it. There is a whole process, the very small process that you have to follow. And if you have a different unit than this one here, go online and try to find the process for your specific unit. For example, this one didn't have any reset button. I had to do a bunch of other things that I showed you in the first video. That one has more detail. The first thing we're going to do is having access to it, and we are going to use a console cable. And then after that, we will use an Ethernet cable to have GUI access to it. So let's start with the console access. So what I'm going to do is first connect the console cable to the console ports. And I'm going to go on the computer and connect this one here. Okay, so when it's connected, let's go on the desktop. Oh, I deleted something. All right, let's go on the desktop. So what I want to know is what is the communication port I am using now. So to do that, we need to go under this PC, right click, manage, and this one will open up. Go under device manager and scroll down and select ports. All right, we can see that we are using the communication number 1 or the COM3. So what I have to do now is open my emulator. In this case, I'm using Secure CRT, and I'm going to launch a new connection. It's going to be a serial connection, and I will use the COM3. You may have COM2, 3, or 4, and just choose the one that is appropriate. I mean, the one that matches the cable that you connected. And the speed is 9600. Everything stays the same, and we're going to click on connect. Here we have some outputs, but we don't see anything because we didn't trigger any output. So if I click on enter on my keyboard here, we can see that now we can log into the FortiGate and make some changes to it. And by default, you have the name of the FortiGate as FortiGate 60E. So as I said, we do admin without password, and we are in. Now it's asking us to configure a new password. We can do it here, but I prefer going in the GUI to do that there, because it's just much cleaner or different. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is grab my Ethernet cable, connect it to my computer, and then we're going to connect it to the FortiGate that we have here. And just for your information, by default, all these ports here are in the same hardware switch. So there is a virtual switch that contains all these ports. So any of these ports is responding to the IP of 192.168.1.99. So that's the IP you can go to access this device with the web browser. You need to make sure that your computer is in the same network. So let's connect the cable and we're gonna check the IP. Okay, so I have the cable here. I'm going to connect it to the port 7. You know what? I just realized that I haven't really given you some more details on my port layout here. Let me show it to you. So this is the FortiGate itself, and this WAN2 is going to be connected, of course, to my cable connection, the one with 20 megabit per second. This is for backup connectivity if this one is not available. And this one is my primary connection, WAN1, connected to fiber. And this one has a speed of 1 gigabit per second with very low latency. And then the DMZ will be connected to the lab for some use in the future. And the port number 7 will have the VLAN 75 for the lab and the VLAN 15 for IoT 1. The port 6 will be for guest VLAN or guest network that will have access to the internet only. And the port 5 and 4 will be grouped together with LACP. So I'm going to use LACP to aggregate these two interfaces under a single virtual link. And as I said, I'm going to make some more videos about it later on, but today we're just going to use it. And 1, 2, 3 are going to be used for the VLAN, for the main VLAN, which is the VLAN 35. And this is my biggest VLAN. I have a lot of videos on there. I have a video here on KBTrainings where I showed you how I installed my camera and everything. So those cameras are in the VLAN 35, and I want them to have as much bandwidth. I mean, this doesn't increase the bandwidth. Just like I said, we have 3 links of 1 gigabit per second. So the sessions will be spread between the 3 links that we have there. So that's what I'm going to do now. And for that, let's go and try to connect to the equipment. Of course, I have the cable connected to it, so I'm just going to make sure that I have the IP configured properly. My desktop has 2 network interface cards, the first one and the second one. I'm going to make some changes to them. So the first one is what I use for my primary network, so I'm not going to touch that. I will touch my second NIC that is there just for things like this. So I'm going to make sure under properties that the IPv4 that I have here is in the same subnet as the FortiGate. That's why you see here 192.168.1.1 because the FortiGate is .99. So these two devices should be able to communicate. So I click on OK, and then I can just confirm if I can ping it. So right now we don't have access to the internet. This is a Google ping that I'm launching here. So I have also another ping. I can launch some ping to the FortiGate to see if we can ping it. Yes, we can ping it just fine. So now I'm going to open my browser and go to that IP and click enter. All right, you have this warning for certificate, and then I'm going to proceed. Here, I can log in without a password because, as I said, by default, you don't have any password. So now it's asking me to set up a new password. So the old password is empty. The new password is going to be this. All right, when I put the new password in, it's asking me to log in with a new password. Let me remove this cap. Okay. All right, so after entering the new password, I'm now in, and here it's asking me to configure some other things like the host name and the dashboard. So I can just click on begin, and I'm going to give it the host name of FG as in FortiGate and click OK. For the dashboard, I have 2 options. I can take the optimal one or the comprehensive one. I think this one has more information. Just click there and OK. All right, so by default, you have a video coming here about the FortiOS 7.0. If you want to watch it, you can, and if you are connected to the internet, so you can load, but I can just say don't show it and click OK. All right, so now we are inside the FortiGate. You can see all the different options, all the layouts. So basically, let's go back to our assignments. So we are done with console access. We are done with GUI access. So now I want to do WAN1 or primary connection. As I said, I have this cable here. This is connected to my ONT. I'm going to use it on my WAN1 port. So my connection is PPPoE. PPPoE means point-to-point over Ethernet. I mean, point-to-point protocol over Ethernet. That's what I'm given by my ISP. I also have credentials. I have a username and a password. And there is a VLAN tag on that traffic. So I need to make sure my WAN connection has a VLAN tag. I mean, receives the traffic from that specific tag, which is the tag 201. So let's go in and configure that interface. So we're going to go under network interfaces. You have a lot of things here that are coming with the device itself. So all you have to do is create a new interface, and we're going to give it a name of WAN. The type of interface is a VLAN interface. The physical interface to which it's attached is WAN1, and the VLAN ID is 201. What is the role of that interface? It's a WAN interface, so it goes outside to the internet. And what is the addressing mode? We're going to use PPPoE. As I said, I have my username and password that I'm going to plug in now. Okay, my username and password are in. Everything else can be left to default. I'd like to ping it yes. I don't think I need any of this, and I'll just click on OK. And if you go back here,
I can't connect to the Wi-Fi network.
Oh, that's Google talking to me because there's no internet connection. Oh, actually, because I have these 2 devices here with me, I don't have internet connection. So if we look under WAN1, we have this interface that is created, and I'm just going to connect this cable to the firewall under WAN1. WAN 1 doesn't come up, so I think it's not connected to the ONT. Let me go connect it and I'll be back. Okay, it's connected. WAN 1 is blinking here, and if we go back here, we just need to refresh the page. And WAN 1 is now green. And the VLAN is, this port is up, and we also have a public IP, which is good, which means that we are now able to connect to the internet. From the device only. If I ping Google from here, no, exact ping. All right, so we can ping Google without any problem. That's fine. So now we have internet connectivity. I'll just come here and say that this is done. So next we need to work on our LAN interfaces, or these interfaces that we have here going in our network internally. As I said, 1, 2, 3 will be aggregated with LACP. So I'm going to do that now. Let's go back to the screen here. First of all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all of them are linked to this hardware switch here. There is an internal switch that comes by default in the device. So I need to release those interfaces from here. So yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is being used by me because this is the IP that I have access to. So I don't have to mess with that one. I'll just change the other 6. It's asking me to confirm. I say okay. All right, so when I'm back here, then I can create a new interface or a new LACP interface. So I'm going to say interface, create new. The name will be main. This is going to be for my main network, and it's going to be an 802.3 AD aggregate interface because this is the code or the code name for 802. For LACP. All right, so it's going to have 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And I am also going to give it the role of LAN, of course. So the manual IP for the interface will be 10.35.0.1. And the subnet mask will be a /24. Everything else can stay the same. I don't need a DHCP server here, but I need to ping, speed test, I need HTTP, HTTPS, I need SSH as well. Okay, I think that's it for this one here. I just click on OK. So it's ready to be used. All right, so now I'm going to create another aggregate interface for the Trappist network. The name will be Trappist. It's going to be an 802.3 AD, members 4 and 5. It's a LAN. The IP would be 10.0.0.1 with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0. Here I'd need to ping and do all of this. All right, so I need a DHCP server here, and I want it to start at 11 because I always like to reserve 1 through 10 for my static IPs. And I want it to go all the way to 249 because 250 all the way to 254, I use it for my VPN devices, which are basically just me and my other devices that I have. All right, so I think that's it for this interface here. I'll just click on OK. The last thing we need to do is let's go back to the configuration. So we did these 3, we did these 2. Now I need to configure 7. But because I'm connected to 7, I think I'm going to switch it to 6, and 7 will be for the guest. So I'm going to set up the internal number 6. It's here, and I'm going to make sure that I don't have to go in actually. I'm just going to create 2 VLAN interfaces. The first one is going to be lab 75. This is for my lab. It's going to be linked to the internal 6 with a VLAN ID of 75. It's a LAN, and the IP will be 10.75.0.1 with the 250, the /24. And I don't need any of this. I don't need DHCP server. I may need it. I'll just click on OK. That's one interface. And then I'm going to add another one for my guest VLAN, which has the tag of, let's see, 25. All right, so I'm going to create a new interface, call it Polaris. All right, link to interface 6 with the ID of 25 with the IP of 10.25.0.1. Okay, and everything else can stay the same. I will need the DHCP server on it, and that's it. Okay, so now that we have our LAN configured, let's say this is done, we can now go and install the device, because I don't want to bring the cable for the secondary network all the way here. I already have this one going all the way to my rack, so I'm just going to go and place the device where it's supposed to be, and from there we are going to add some more configurations to configure WAN2 and configure SD-WAN. Let me do it and I'll be back with you. Alright, so the FortiGate is in the rack. As you can see, we don't have connectivity here, so because this is down, I need to go to the 35.0.1. Yes, and I have access to it over here. Okay, and by the way, we still don't have access to the internet because nothing is configured to allow us to go to the internet. And I also connected the WAN2 connection, which is a cable connection, so there is not much to do there. If I go under interface, I'm pretty sure it should be up by now. Yes, WAN2 is up and we have a public IP assigned to it because that one has only DHCP, it's Ethernet with DHCP. So after the modem, I just connect to the FortiGate and it auto-configured itself, which is a redundancy. All right, so now I am going to, let's see, we are done with this. So now I'm going to configure SD-WAN. Okay, to do that, let me go under network, SD-WAN. And by default, we have these two zones here, or these two interfaces here that are delivered by default. I'm just going to add the ports that I have to this virtual WAN link. So I'll do create new SD-WAN member, and I'm going to select WAN, and I can leave the cost 0, that's fine, but the cost can help you just manually pick what you prefer. So I'm just going to leave it to 0. And click OK. So if we go down, we can see WAN is here. I'm also going to add WAN2. So I have WAN2 cost 0 and click OK. So after doing that, SD-WAN now, or the virtual WAN link, has the two members that we need. The next thing we have to do, I think, is to configure the performance SLA. What are we going to use for SD-WAN to know which connection is better and pick it instead of the other? So I'm going to create a new one. There are some here that come by default. I'll just say create one, and we'll give it the name of best first. All right, it's going to be active all the time. It will be pinging the Google server. Okay. All right, so the next thing is to select what are the participants. All the members are in. Do we have a target SLA? No, in this case, I just want the best connection to be used. So how often do we check that connection? We check it every 500 milliseconds, which is good. And if we have 5 failure, we consider that link disabled. And if it's successful 5 times, we consider it enabled. And if it's ever down, we remove the static route from the routing table. And I'm going to click OK. There's also something that I have to do that I was about to forget. We need to create a static route for the SD-WAN. So let's go under static routes and create one. So it's going to go to the internet. The gateway will be found automatically because we are going to select the IP here, which is the WAN link or the SD-WAN link. All right, so that's it for this, and we're going to click on OK. We still don't have access to the internet because we haven't finished everything yet. But let's go back to SD1. And I also always want to create an SD1 rule to make sure that we are using the performance SLA to select the best route. And here I'm going to give it the name of best. And for what IP, all the IPs, going where, going everywhere. So I'm going to use for protocol number, any protocol number. So I'm going to use the best quality for the WAN and WAN2. So I have these two interfaces here that are going to compete to be the best. What is the zone that we consider? It's the first zone. The zone is like the interface that we just created. So measured SLA is going to be best first, okay? And we are going to use the latency as the component that we'll be looking at. If we just hover over here, you can see that WAN1 has lower latency, so it will always be the best. Unless it's down, then WAN2 will take over. All right, so that's it. So we just do OK. I think we're good. The only thing that is preventing us to go to the internet is the IPv4 policy. So I'm going to create a new IPv4 policy by coming here and do new. I'll give it a name of man to internet. And the incoming interface is going to be the main network. The outgoing is the SD1, or I can just say man to SD1. I think that's better. All right, so the source would be the main address. And the destination will be everything on the internet. The service, all the services, and everything else can stay the default, and I'll click on OK. So if I go back here, we should be able to ping now. Nice. So now we have access to the internet, and as you can see, we have very low latency, so we are using the fiber, I'm pretty sure. The only thing that I would like to test is to see if I disconnect WAN2, if our connection is going to be, those are my devices coming back online. So I'll see if my connection is going to switch to WAN1. If I disconnect WAN1 or WAN, if we're going to switch to WAN2. All right, so we can see that we only missed a single ping, but we are back online with 9 milliseconds of latency, which means that we went from fiber to cable with little change in the latency here, in the response time, which is good. So SD1 is working as intended. If I go back to the SD1 interface, I can see some more details. Actually, I made a whole video where I showed you how I did the SD1 on the ADD. We can see that now the sessions are switching over to WAN2. All the sessions are over WAN2. All right, guys, that's it for now. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions, send me an email or leave a comment below. And do not forget to like the video if you've reached this point. And also follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you so much. And if you are preparing for the CCNA, I have a course on KBTrainings.com that's going to help you for that. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care. Bye.